Hey guys, welcome back to That LA Garage. Today we have a special show for you. We are doing a Honda S2000. I'm removing the transmission, and you could use this information if you guys need to change a clutch or change the transmission. Before we get to it, please hit the like button, subscribe, bell notification, and don't forget to do comments at the end of the show. Alright, first step, disconnect the battery. Next, take the shift knob off, and then take the trim off of the center console. Those are all just clips that come straight up. And there's only one or two electric connectors holding it down. Sometimes you gotta pull the e-brake all the way up just to pull it out of place, and that's pretty much it. Then there is a boot. Again, it comes straight up, has 4 clips, and it comes straight out. You put a little screwdriver or a pick just to release the clips, and then you get to 3 bolts on top of the shifter. You take there's 3 10mm bolts. You undo the 3 bolts, and you could lift the shifter up and out, and save all these parts because we're gonna obviously install them afterwards. After that, lift the car up or put the car on jack stands, and the rest of the work is from the bottom. Alright, so the next step, underneath the car, you disconnect the slave cylinder. It's 2 12mm bolts. You undo them and pull the slave cylinder out of its hole. After that, you look for all the electric wire connectors and disconnect those. And then you go a little further. You start working with disconnecting the drive shaft with it has Allen key sockets that are holding it in. So Allen key bolts that you need a Allen key socket to disconnect. And then there is a small bridge that you disconnect. I have a yellow one on this one, but the factory one looks a little bit different, but it's the same thing. Also 12mm bolts. You unbolt them, and then you disconnect the drive shaft from the differential, again with the same 12mm bolts. AP1 and AP2 have different size bolts. AP2 has bigger bolts, and they're bigger in they're actually the same size, front and rear. They're the same size, while AP1 is 2 different sizes, front on the transmission side and on the differential side. So when disconnecting the drive shaft, sometimes you could get an impact gun in there with the swivel, and you could pull it out. If not, like you can see here that I'm having a little trouble with it. So you pull your handbrake, and this way it locks the drive shaft in place, and then you start breaking loose the bolts on both ends, both on drive shaft side and transmission side. And then once you get those 2 or 3, you go on the top, release the handbrake, turn the drive shaft, and do it again. This way, all the bolts will, once all the bolts are loose, then you can go up to the handbrake, release the handbrake, and this way the drive shaft spins freely, and you can remove all the bolts. I most of the time leave the bracket in the middle in, just so if the drive shaft does come down, that little bracket will prevent it from just falling down onto the floor or coming down and hitting my head or anything. Next part is to remove your exhaust from the downpipe. You can take also from the catalytic converter you could remove it, but I don't have a catalytic converter on this, so it's a lot smaller. You don't have to take it so you don't have to take it off. It doesn't get in the way. Sometimes the catalytic converter gets in the way, so it is easier to take it out, but it's not a must. So now it's time to start removing some bell housing bolts. I like to start with the starter bolt. The starter bolt has 2 bolts, one that you have to get to from the top, one from the bottom. So I take the bottom one off first, and then there is this brace that goes across the from left to right of the car, from passenger to driver's side. You remove that, and then you start taking off some other bolts, bell housing bolts. Alright, so I'll be honest with you guys. This is the most crappiest part of this job. Alright? There's the top starter bolt. Without having to take out so many things, this is where it is. I put a light in there already, and I'm going to try to see if we can see it. See, there's a... there it is. Can you see that? Let me see if we could zoom in. Okay, so you see this red screw where I have the pick, and when I'm swinging the pick right next to it, we have to get that bolt out. That's the top starter bolt. We have to take that one out. So we need to use a few swivels, extensions, and a few this, a few that, and a bunch of this to make it work. So I'll show you how I do it, and whichever way you can get this part done, good luck. But just so you know, that's where the bolt is, and this is what you have to go through to get to there. So I'll show you my tricks. All right, so it's a 14mm socket. Use a swivel. We'll see how I'm gonna get down into there. You know what? Before I do anything, I'm just gonna move my intake pipe out of the way. Alright, so it's a 14mm socket with a swivel. I put tape on the swivel so the swivel doesn't bend as fast, so it stays pretty straight. And I'm going to stick it through that hole, and we're going to pray. Try to get that in there. Gotta push it in. Let me see if we can break it loose. Nah, it's not on it. There we go. Broke it loose. Oh, this sucks. Alright, I'm gonna get greedy and try to use the gun. Came out. We're not going to take the screw out, the bolt out. We just unthread it. We'll leave it in there. I'm going to get my socket back because I lost it. There we go. Yes, it hit the floor. Okay. All right, now we can continue the rest from the bottom. All right, so now we're getting ready to drop the subframe. Not always all the way off, just lower it. So there's three bolts on each side. We have 1, 2, and 3. So I'm just gonna start with the rear one right now. I'm gonna pull it all the way out. See how long they are? All the way out, and now I'm gonna re-thread it in a little bit so we can catch it once it comes out. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So also, one other thing is this car has the shims. There's shims that hold it into the body. Collars. Sorry, they're collars to prevent the front subframe from shifting. And I would tell anybody that has S2000 put them in there because it really helps with the alignment. Same thing, all the way out. Give it in a little, put it back in a little bit. Same thing here. All right. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's see if that's enough, which it probably is. But let's go for some bonus points. All right, that's definitely enough. All right, so now just for safety, I'm going to bring these guys back up because we don't need that distance now. Okay. This way it doesn't come down on me and I don't get crunching. All right, the next part is we have 3 bolts up top. We got one over here, one up there in the center, and one on that side. See the orange tip on it? So I'm going to start with the one up top with a long extension and let's see. The long extension, it's a 17mm and impact gun. I'm going to do this one first. It's easier. I think I need a swivel for that other one. Okay, I'm going to do this one here. Remember that all the while that the 2 bolts underneath the belt housing, the 2 bottom ones, are still in and tightened because that's what's going to hold it in place. The transmission from coming down. I'm gonna do, put there's one. For safety also, let's just put this jack stand, for safety, let's put this transmission jack right under it, just in case. In. Nah, I was able to do it with no swivel. On an impact gun, it's better to use it without a swivel because you have a lot more torque that way. There it is. Next step is to set up the transmission jack on the transmission and get the two bottom bolts off. So let's just bring this up. We have to go around the exhaust. It's a little tricky because I don't want to have to take the exhaust off for that. All right, that's that. Actually, we need to save some access for this screw over here. Let's just break it loose, this bolt. All right, we could get a wrench on that later. Just jiggle it around a little bit. Use a pry bar and push it away from the block, the engine block. Feels like it's catching on something. No. Oh, did I forget to take the fork out? I probably did. Do anything? Oh shit. All right, I'm gonna pretend like that didn't happen. So now it's time to release the clutch fork. Take a pry bar and just pull it out of its spot. All right, just leave it hanging. The exhaust is a little bit in the way, just gonna massage your way around it. Oh, it's disconnected. Let's start bringing it down. Oh, got caught up again. Let's help it a little bit. Front is caught up. And that's how you remove a S2000 transmission from the car. Thanks for watching, guys. Like always, post, comments, share, subscribe. If you haven't, click the bell notification so you get notified every time I post up a new video. And next episode will be me tearing into this transmission and rebuilding it, or taking it apart to see what's wrong with it so I can rebuild it. And last but not least, don't forget, if you ain't got haters, you ain't popping.